It's been a wonderful 2024. It really has for a lot of wrestlers, a lot of male wrestlers specifically. So, you know, this is a list compiled of the 10 best wrestlers who've had probably the best years of 2024. It's always a controversial list. I know this because there's basically picks that I think are the top 10 wrestlers of the year. Now, shocker, there will be some ties because sometimes when you have a list of 10, top 10 that you want to have, and there's a lot of wrestlers out there, it's hard to figure out who you want to have as the top 10. So, there is a tie, a couple, but where are they? I'll get to it in a bit. But this is DA Wrestling. This is Andrew. This is top 10 wrestlers of 2024, male edition. Right? Here we go. So, what makes a top 10 wrestler for the year? At least in my opinion, it's matches, it's how their popularity is, it's what they did to really focus on them and who they are, right? And what grabbed people's attention, right? How well they did through promo work, right? So like I said, through their popularity, merchandise sales and stuff like that, right? So things like that, as far as I'm concerned, are part of a list of what makes them have a best year or in the top 10. Holding titles is definitely a help. They don't always have to hold a title, but if they're in that mainstay for a title of some sort over the past 12 months, then that makes a lot more sense to me. Right? It doesn't mean that they don't have to hold the title for an entire year. It does help, but right, if their popularity is there, if they were like a must see, you wanted to watch them. If they said, "I want to see what this guy's going to do next," then on top of that, then that deserves to be in the top 10, at least in my opinion. Obviously, people like Dave Meltzer, other people, and maybe a possible What Culture and all that might have a different list and different ideas of who that be. That's fine. This is my list. The list that I compiled that I think is a good idea of who I think had the best year in the top 10. Starting off then, number 10, Hangman Adam Page. Why you say Hangman Adam Page? If you look at his match with Swerve, right, his feud with Jay White, the fact that he burned down Swerve's house while drinking bourbon on Dynamite, the fact that he came back in that blood and guts match, right, reluctantly with the Young Bucks, and still put on a performance there. He's had good matches all year round. He's been in Nut Bar, you know. Him to me has had a great 2024. He's enough for a spot to be in the top 10 at number 10. And quite frankly, it's hard to argue who's had almost. There's 9 more guys that I think had a better year, but it's hard to argue he doesn't deserve to be in that number 10 spot. Hangman Page to me is the number 10 wrestler of the year. Just look at his matches, his feud with Swerve Strickland, the blood and guts match he had, right? His feud going with Jay White, the constant title chase, or at least that he's trying to get into that title chase more and more, shows a lot. In my opinion, Hangman Page deserves to be in that top number 10 spot. Number 9, Jey Uso. Jey Uso, to me, some people might say, well, he should be a little higher on the list, you think. You're not wrong, but I also feel there's also guys who had better years ahead of him. Had a better year ahead of him. Simple as that. Yeah, he won what? It was in the Bloodline feud, right? In War Games. He held the IC title. He had his match at WrestleMania against his brother. Mind you, it wasn't that great of a match. Both have gone on record saying it wasn't. But he was constantly in a title fight over the time, right? He won the tag belts, right? Last year, I believe it was. No, it was this year, right? He was the IC champion. He won that. Okay. He's constantly been a mainstay there. He's arguably one of the most popular superstars in WWE currently now. He's arguably one of the top 5 guys in that company. It's hard to know that. And the fact that he got yeet over and everyone's dancing around, he comes out. I was there at Money in the Bank in Toronto. The whole crowd was absolutely nuts for Jey Uso. You know? And a lot of you can argue too that he probably should have won Money in the Bank. So, quite frankly, this is a great thing for Jey. He deserves number 9 because the guy ahead of him had just a bit of a year. And that's number 8 being Gunther. Number 8, Gunther. Why? Now, grant you, his world title reign right now has not as that exact same stuff or feel that his IC title reign did. It's pretty fair to say that, right? As an IC champion, right, which he lost it to Sami Zayn, right, at WrestleMania. Up until that point, he was very dominant of everything. Here, this time here, we're seeing more of a less dominant Gunther. He's still winning matches, but he's not as dominant as he was before, right? He did win King of the Ring, right, in Saudi Arabia. He had earned that shot, right? He beat Damian Priest for that title, albeit with Finn Balor. He just defended that title on Saturday Night's Main Event, where he won in a 3-way match against Finn Balor and Damian Priest, right? Yes, he lost to Cody. Fine. That's fine. Right? It's Cody Rhodes. It's hard not to really think somebody's going to lose to Cody Rhodes. But Gunther, in my opinion, deserves the number 8 spot for those reasons too. He's been a good champion so far. Like I said, his title reign for the world title reign has not been as what people probably thought it would be. And that's a fair assessment. If anybody thinks it's not a fair assessment, please comment down below here. And make sure while you're at it, make sure you like, share, subscribe down below here, folks. Right? Come up probably on this side or that side. Right? See a boom, or maybe even up here. Right? Now come on up. Right? Make sure you like, share, subscribe here, guys. We enjoy doing this content for you. It's something we love doing here. This is all for you guys too. Right? Anyway, number 7. I know it's number 2. Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker deserves number 7 spot. Why? He's been back and forth the IC title. He's currently the IC title champion. He is in between probably. He is the new generation of people coming up and up in the WWE. He was probably a future world champion down the line. Right now, not so much, but he is currently IC champion. Right? His feud with Jey Uso, his feud with Sheamus. Okay. You know, his current match with Kaiser. It just happened on Raw recently. Okay. This is a man they're gonna put the gears to and just let him fly and go. Right? He is a future world champion. The fact that he is the son of Rick Steiner and the nephew of Scott Steiner helped play his lot. And he's freakishly athletic too. Has anybody ever seen that jump up onto the ropes and do a hurricane thing? Way better than his uncle ever did it. Way better. The fact that he does it without even grabbing anything is even more impressive. Very Kurt Angle-ish. Right? He's had a fantastic year. He deserves to be in the number 7 spot. In my opinion. Number 6. I battled this one a little bit, number 6. I wasn't too sure who I wanted to put in number 6. But as I thought about everything over and over the year, Damian Priest is the number 6 spot. Why, you ask? Right? He had the Money in the Bank up until WrestleMania. He cashed in Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. Won the world title off of Drew, albeit a lot of things. Right? Then held that title for several months, all the way to SummerSlam. Lost it to Gunther. Right? Due to Finn Balor. But he's been amazed that his popularity has just grown the entire year. Right? A lot of people were kind of like, what is Damian Priest? What is Damian Priest? Right? When people first won. We're now talking the fact that he might actually win the Royal Rumble this year in 2025 and get that in one contender slot and go to the main event of WrestleMania. Damian Priest deserves to be in the number 6 spot because he is, frankly, starting to come up to that pinnacle and get to his potential that needs to be. He held that world title. He is constantly out in that mix, right? Feuding with the Judgment Day, breaking up with the Judgment Day, feuding with the Judgment Day, and going and going and going. right? He just lost at the tag in the triple threat match with Gunther and Finn Balor, right? But he is somebody there too who is going to be the future of this company for at least the next couple of years. Now, number 5. I originally had a certain individual at this number 5 position, but I thought about it and I didn't really like the position he was at. I didn't like the number fact he was number 5 because I felt there's other guys that could have been there. So this is where I bring in a 3-way tie because I couldn't make up my mind on who I thought was better. So at number 5, and halfway through the list, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins. All 3 of these guys are intertwined. The entire year has been an intertwined thing between all 3 of them. Obviously, the Punk Seth feud is starting more and more up. But Seth stuck his nose into Punk's business, and Punk has stuck his nose into Seth's business. Obviously, we cannot disrupt the fact that the Drew McIntyre and CM Punk feud was probably the best feud the entire year. Some of the best trolling, some of the best promos done by both CM Punk and Drew McIntyre over the entirety of 2024. The fact that we're ending 2024 with CM Punk and Seth Rollins only shows how diverse they were. Plus, on top of that, Seth Rollins openly put over Bronson Reed, right? Yes, Bronson Reed did lose one match, but he did put Bronson Reed over on another match, right? He helped elevate Bronson Reed. Seth Rollins lost his title at WrestleMania to Drew McIntyre, who lost it eventually to Priest minutes later, right? Opened the show up. Had a fantastic match at WrestleMania. Seth Rollins constantly puts on match after match after match. Right? CM Punk, albeit most of his stuff was with Drew McIntyre. But you cannot deny how popular he is. You cannot deny the fact that he is one of the biggest merch sales in WWE. And you cannot deny the fact that he is arguably the most popular superstar on Raw, other than a couple other guys. And Drew McIntyre, well, let's be honest, right? He trolled all year round, right? He was in the world title picture, right? He had a feud with CM Punk. He won Money in the Bank, lost Money in the Bank, right? Won the world title, lost the world title very quickly, right? And he's just been by far the best wrestler, one of the best wrestlers of 2024, and had a fantastic year. Plus, he signed a long-term deal with WWE. He's going to be with us for a very long time. I have to keep on going. Number 5 is a good spot for him. I could have put him higher or lower on the list. But I figure 5 is right in that middle spot for all 3 of these guys here because it was hard to decide who's better off. I know they definitely had a better year than Page, a better year, in my opinion, a better year than Uso and Gunther. So really, number 5 is like right in that middle part of the line where they deserve to be there. Number 4. This is where it gets down to the nitty gritty. This is where the toughest parts came in. Number 4, Kevin Owens. Now, don't go off nuts so far. Right? Kevin Owens has been in every major storyline that people most love storylines all year. Other than the CM Punk, Drew McIntyre stuff, he has been involved in some of the biggest things all year round. The Bloodline stuff, the Cody stuff, right? The stuff with Kevin Owens, with Randy Orton, the stuff, even the stuff just like beating up the Pretty Deadly. Kevin Owens has had a year here, and he's ended up walking around right now with the Winged World title, calling himself the real champion. Right? Kevin Owens had a phenomenal 2024 year. It's hard to not put him up in that upper echelon for the year of 2024 that he had. And this is all coming with a guy who, whether or not he's staying or not, nobody knows yet. He's probably staying, folks. Let's be honest. His contract, I don't think he ever signed a new contract yet. Or maybe he did. Can't remember off the time. But Kevin Owens deserves to be in the number 4 spot. Because there's only 3 to 4 guys here. I said 4 that had a better year than him. Number 3, Swerve Strickland. Do I have to say it? won the world title, right? Held that world title for most of the year. Okay, was it some of the best matches? Faced Will Ospreay, faced Brian Danielson, right? Faced Samoa Joe, right? Curly in a feud with like Bobby Lashley, faced Bobby Lashley, bit of a feud with that too. Now let's talk about him with a little bit of a feud with kind of Ricochet a little bit. Had his match with Hangman Page where Hangman burned down his house. He has cut some of the best promos all year long, and this is where we are with Swerve. It's hard to argue. It's hard to argue that people had better years than him. There are people who had better years than. Number 2, Jon Moxley. Now you're wondering yourself, wait, Jon Moxley? Oh, you're just a Jon Moxley fan. Yeah, I am a Jon Moxley fan. But I also held the IWGP World Title in Japan, like defeating Tetsuya Naito. Then lost to Tetsuya Naito a few months later. Top of that, comes back to AEW, right? Wreaks havoc on AEW, building a new foundation, right? Of wanting to taking over AEW. Curly beating the living hell like he did out of Bryan Danielson, sending him into retirement, right? Beating the hell out of Orange Cassidy, holding that world title for a 4th time, I believe it is, right? Elevated people like Claudio, like Pac, like Marina Shafir, helping these people. He has done more for that company than a lot of other guys have. Guys who've been there for a long time. More than the Bucks. Sad to say, more than Kenny Omega. So you cannot deny the fact that Jon Moxley's had a great 2024. Right? Could it have been better? Absolutely. But the fact that he won the IWGP title over Tetsuya Naito and held it for a few months shows where people's faith is in Jon Moxley and that he can get stuff done and get people watching. Simple as that. Right? His promos that he has cut since this whole thing has taken over with him wanting him to take over AEW with Claudio, Pac, Wheeler Yuta, and Marina Shafir. Yeah, he beat the crap out of Bryan Danielson severely, but it choked him out, which was very controversial on TV. But quite frankly, he still had a better year than a lot of other guys. He's been a mainstay in AEW. He's one of the reasons why a lot of people still watch AEW, because AEW, honestly, right now isn't the greatest on the planet. It's just not. It's hard. It's sad to say that, but it's true. AEW right now is floundering a little bit. But Jon Moxley has been the constant over the years, and in 2024, he's helping elevate the last half of this year to try to make it better, and that's why he's number 2 on the list. Number 1. Before we get to number 1, though, few honorable mentions: Sami Zayn, MJF, Roman Reigns. I said put Roman Reigns on here because obviously people are going, "Why do you mean? Why Roman Reigns? Right? Why isn't he on the top 10?" He was gone a lot of the year, right? Yes, he was there at WrestleMania. He lost the title at WrestleMania. But he came back and he started this whole new thing with the bloodline there. Speaking of which, the bloodline in general as a whole: Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu. As a whole, I put them as one group as a whole. They're like number 11, maybe 12 on my actual list. This is a top 10 though. It's not a top 20. Right? All those guys that I just mentioned, as well as Ethan Page. Ethan Page left AEW, went to NXT, and won the NXT World Championship. He's been in the title picture ever since. Sami Zayn, like I said, also had a really good year. Right? Won the IC title, held that IC title, got back with the bloodline, was in War Games. His feuds with, obviously, the bloodline, Gunther, the fact that he went for a title shot against Gunther, lost, shows how much they rely on Sami Zayn. MJF, gone most of the year, came back, the whole, bid for 2024, that stuff went to hell. That could have been a better storyline. But partially because of that, why he didn't really make the list. He's just doing the same old shtick, and I was like, he hasn't really elevated stuff. He's doing stuff with Adam Cole right now. but it hasn't been that great. So he hasn't really had that great of a year. The only reason why I put those guys as honorable mentions, they're more or less like in my like, you know, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 spots. Pick a side where you guys want to think they are. Number one's a tie though, because I couldn't decide. I couldn't decide who I wanted to be number one, mainly because both these two guys had a hell of a year. Both these guys are arguably the most popular. Merch sales are through the roof. One's a world champion. The other one lost the title, but has been in match after match of the year, Mr. Pay-Per-View or PLE, whatever you want to call it, is Cody Rhodes and Will Ospreay. Number one on the lists. Tied. 1A, 1B. Pick your poison. Whichever one you want to do, that is your choice. Obviously, we'll start with Will Ospreay here. The reason why Will Ospreay is number one, those is shared with Cody, is because Will Ospreay has constantly put on match after match, whether it be on Dynamite, All In, All Out, Double or Nothing. It doesn't matter. Will Ospreay delivers every single time he is in that ring. Every single time. Right? His entrance alone at All In London when he came out of the Assassin's Creed Shadows stuff was awesome. His music is phenomenal. All right? His feud with Kyle Fletcher, right? I mean, very good. His match with Swerve, right? All these things that Will Ospreay has done since he's come into that company in 2024 has been, I think, other than fantastic or to steal AJ Styles thing, phenomenal. As far as Cody being number one also goes, the fact, look, he won the Rumble, beat Roman Reigns, finished the story, and has fought every challenger ever since. Kevin Owens, right? He wrestled Gunther, beat Gunther, right? Beat Solo, right? He is the number one guy in this company, and there's a reason for it. And the reason being that he is literally the face of the company. They follow everything this guy wants to do. He even brought back the Winged Eagle title that everybody loves, the most favorite title, world title of every other title there is. He brought it back, whether it be for one night or not, which is not really one night at all anymore, but Cody has brought even stuff that there. He is the number one contender. He is an ambassador to the company. He is leading in merch sales for the most part. Right? He is up there as merch sales. Right? People come far away to see Cody Rhodes. I got to a chance to see him live. It's a lot of fun. So Cody being number one with Ospreay as a tie isn't a bad thing. You can really pick your poison, whichever one you want to do, 1A, 1B, or whoever choose you want to choose. But Will Ospreay, Cody Rhodes being number one is hard to argue between both. It's a tie. Even guys like Meltzer would have a hard problem with this one. Right? So, to recap, number 10 being Hangman Page. Number 9 being Jey Uso. Number 8, Gunther. Number 7, Braun Breaker. Number 6, Damian Priest. Number 5, the three-way tie for that being Rollins, Punk, Drew. Number 4, Kevin Owens. 3 being Swerve. 2 being Jon Moxley. And number 1 being, well, Cody Rhodes and Will Ospreay. Interesting list. Let me comment down below what you guys think of this list here. Am I wrong in putting those two, 1A and 1B? Am I wrong in putting Punk, Rollins, and Drew at number 5? Should some guys be different? Should they be higher? Should they be lower? What do you guys think? It is a top 10 list of 2024 after all. This list will probably change in 2025, folks. It's not exactly going to be a list in concrete forever. Because the list is probably going to change. But right as of right now, this is my list of the best wrestlers in 2025, in 2024. In 2025 is a new year. We'll see what goes on there. We might see some of these guys drop out of that top 10 spot. We don't know yet. But right now it's showed up to be, looks like it might be the 2025 might be the year of Punk, might be the year of Rollins. We might see Cody lose that belt. We might see Kevin Owens might be elevated more. And maybe he can get that world title in 2025. Who knows? But a lot is going to happen here. We'll see where 2025 brings us. But right now, this is the end of 2024. This is DA Wrestling. This was the top 10 men in 2024 in all of wrestling. That's it, folks. Comment down below if you like it.